Well, that's a good question. I can't see myself, so I'm not sure I'm actually visible. I think I'm not visible. I think my son has got me set up so that I am looking at the wrong thing. Aha! I can see myself, so hopefully other people can see me as well. uh, I have no idea if I've got volume going out either, but that's a whole different matter. Microphone seems to be on at least. Well, good afternoon, and the usual problems with setup and such. I have the laptop, but I'm not at my desk. Sanford's not feeling well, so he was going to lay down. Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me. That's always good. So I am listening to the dog whine, but the dog's going to have to just deal with the fact that she is not going to go out. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that, Mom. It's been a week. I should probably go and put links somewhere so that people can find me. So let's see here. Part of the reason that Sanford isn't feeling well and is lying down is because we went out to dinner tonight because the child was starting his new job, and because the child was starting his new job, we were like, yay, evening to ourselves. And you know how that goes. You're like, well, what do we want to eat? So Sanford was like, nothing too terribly exciting. And I was looking for American food, and we have a lot, and honestly this should not surprise me given the demographics of our area, but we have a lot of Mexican food and a lot of Vietnamese food in our immediate local area. So that's fun and really enjoyable, but not what Sanford was in the mood for. So I was like, okay, we'll go find some place that's just like regular plain old American stuff. Okay. And we were talking about it, and we were looking for some place to go. We finally went someplace, and we literally walked in. And I don't know. I mean, hi there. Yeah, okay. I was trying to get links posted elsewhere. So, we're trying to find a restaurant tonight, and we have lots and lots of taco places local, some of which are really good. We've started to actually try those. But the first place we went into, we walked in, we looked up, and it was cafeteria style. And we were both like, well, we really kind of wanted just a sit-down meal. We didn't want to have to stand there and get our food and then go truck it off somewhere. So we're like, okay, what are we in the mood for? So we're pulling up Google Maps, and we're doing restaurant near me and looking at what's available, and found one place that was like a mile away. So we started heading for there, and I was like, ooh, barbecue. I think I want barbecue. So I knew there was a local barbecue place, although we hadn't been there yet. And so we head for that. Well, we walk in there, and it's cafeteria style. So we wound up eating there, but that's a whole nother thing. But I was looking at the restaurants that are within just a small radius of us, because we live in the city. There's, I don't know, 20 or 30 restaurants within like a 2-mile radius of us. And the vast majority of them seem to be cafeteria style for whatever reason. And I mean, some of them are just, they're really more geared towards takeout. A lot of the Asian places that are close by are definitely geared towards takeout. So I don't know why, whether it has to do with the demographics of the area. Sanford seems to think that cafeteria translates to a younger audience, but I think it actually might be more lower income. We're in a very working class area. And I also think it might have to do with just time. You want a little bit cheaper, faster meal if you're going to do cafeteria style rather than you go in, you sit down, you get waited on. So, unfortunately, the barbecue place, the brisket sandwiches were not bad at all. The baked beans were, shall we say, immature. The liquid the baked beans were in, the beans were cooked, but the liquid the baked beans was in, it was very thin, and it didn't have any depth or maturity of flavor. They really needed to cook and reduce for another couple of hours. So the coleslaw was the blandest coleslaw either of us have ever tasted. I mean, you could taste the cabbage, and that was really about it. The green beans had bacon visible in it, but you couldn't taste it. And the potato salad was on the sweet side, which I'm not a fan. So we will probably not go back to that place. Pity, it's close to us. But I think we'll try again some other time. But it's kind of an interesting thing to think about. Well, for one thing, I'm spoiled for choices for restaurants around here, which is nice. And I don't know whether or not we'll be able to find a barbecue restaurant that we really like locally. I know of one, but it's like 2 hours away. So, I mean, if we really get a jonesing, hey Doug, glad you found me. Yeah, the sweet salad. Well, so okay, Sanford's coleslaw, it actually has sugar and sweet pickle juice in it, so it tends to be on the sweet side, which is funny because he says he doesn't like sweet foods. Hey koala, hopefully the dogs are now behaving. So Sanford says he doesn't like sweet food, but he does sweet coleslaw, which actually has a lot of flavor, so he balances that sugar with vinegary dressing. So I actually enjoy his coleslaw. But the other thing that he does that's sweet is he actually makes, and I have blogged his recipe, he makes angeled eggs, which are a sweet version of deviled eggs. And, yeah, I should ask Audrey, and Becky will definitely have to try the place over there in Frisco. I am seriously contemplating when we get ready to try and find someplace else to rent and move out of this apartment, I'm seriously contemplating looking at Frisco. But it's really going to depend on whether or not we can find someplace we can afford. And that's gonna, that's really the biggest thing. Arlington is about 40 minutes south of us, Doug. I actually have been told of an Ethiopian barbecue place in Arlington. I'm going to try and get together with a writer I know and check that place out. It is definitely not up Sanford's alley. I'm a much more adventurous eater than he is these days. Which is actually kind of nice because my friend wanted me to talk about pandas, so this segues into talking about pandas. My friend the panda is the best finder of good lunch places, and we get together every 3 or 4 weeks and get lunch together. And so far we have done this fabulous, authentic Chinese place, Taste of Chengdu. And, this panda has good taste. Very good taste. We have done Fat Knees, and that's knee is spelled N-I. Fat Knees Grill, which is Korean. It's basically meat on a stick. And we had, let's see, he got quail on a stick. We both had beef tendon, which is really good, a lot better than it sounds. I forget what all we had. We both had like 5 or 6 different kinds of meat on a stick. Um, and so that was really fun. Let's see, where else did we do? We did a place where they bring you your food raw, and there's a little grill on the table, and you cook your meat yourself. That was fun. Oh, the last one that we did. I can't remember the name of it. I've got a picture of the hot pot somewhere, but we did a spicy hot pot restaurant, and spicy should have cued me in. No, not rat on a stick. There was no rat involved, or at least not that they told us about. Quail on a stick is fun. So the spicy hot pot place, the spicy should have cued me in, but I was thinking that I would be brave that day. So the hot pot restaurant worked. You went in and they seated you, and they told you to go ahead and go walk around the little buffet thing, and you give you this plastic bowl, and you were paying for your food by the pound. So whatever you put into that bowl was what you were going to pay for. And they had various veggies and meats and quail eggs and all kinds of fun stuff. I've now eaten lotus root. They had bamboo shoots, and of course the panda had bamboo shoots. I tried them as well. They were fun. Let's see here. I don't remember what all I got. There was squid. I didn't get squid. There were shrimp whole in the shell head on, which was a mistake, and I'll come back to that. The quail eggs, of course. They had enoki mushrooms, which are the little long thin ones, but they also had like wood ear mushrooms and a couple of other different kinds of mushrooms. So regardless, I was restrained because I knew that I was going to have to eat this, and anything left over I was going to have to take back to work with me and toss in the fridge. Anyhow, you take your bowl up that you've filled with food, and they weigh it, and you can either have a regular hot pot, which is in broth, and it's a beef-based broth. Beef-based broth. Say that 10 times fast. Or you could have dry pot, where they would drain, they cook it in the broth, but then they lift it out and just serve you what you've got in there. Oh, and you can have noodles in there too. I had some ramen type noodles, not like the packet ramen type noodles. So we both went for the soup, and I was being brave, and my panda friend was feeling like less of his normal, because he's normally the one that goes spicy when we go out together. So I said medium, and he said medium. And their medium is not white girl medium. I could eat it, but my sinuses were very clear. I got a message from the panda later that evening of, my sinuses are still clear. It was delicious, but when I go back, I'm going to be like, can we do negative numbers a thing in the spice level here? Because there was also, you could add your own condiments, so like sauces and red chili pepper paste, and which I actually keep here at the house. I keep gochujang, which is a chili garlic paste. So you could always add spice, but there was so much chili oil floating on the top of these bowls. I don't know if I posted pictures of them on social media. I'll put it up. Actually, I should probably put it up with this video. But anyhow, it was really tasty. It was really spicy. But that's the kind of thing that I get to do with my friend the panda, because he spent quite a bit of time in China, and he really enjoys this kind of adventurous Asian food. Taste of Chengdu in Carrollton, Texas. I recommend if you're ever in the area. And they are very authentic food. The only Chinese food you've ever had is just like Chinese buffets, you don't know what you're going to get at Chengdu. Their food is excellent. The staff speaks almost no English. You will order by pointing to what you want on the menu. And it does help to have somebody with you that has a clue of what they're getting, but I can reliably say that the cumin lamb is superb. A little on the spicy side, but not outside of my adventure zone. And I don't know, I really like exploring these things. Like there's a Burmese restaurant near us that the little man and I tried out. And that was really good. The first time we went, I ordered off the menu kind of blindly because I didn't know what I was looking at. And then I told the lady that I was wanted to try some authentic food, and she's like, next time you come in, talk to me first and I'll help you pick out something that's really authentic, because what I had gotten was just kind of more generic Asian, Chinese, and Burma, the menu makes it look like they're kind of a fusion of Indian and Chinese. So, oh Lord, Joshua, that sounds like pepper spray warfare. Ghost pepper slathered meat in an air dehydrated. You don't want to do that inside. Not inside, because that's like me processing horseradish inside, and I tear gas the entire house. Don't do that. Do not put horseradish root in a food processor, and yeah, no, just do it outside. Yes, I can definitely see that would chase people out of the house, and but you only have to do it once to create a memorable experience that they'll never stop talking about, right? I know every time we make Indian food here in the apartment, I can smell it for 3 days afterwards, which is probably a good thing I don't do it too often. I'm sure it would ooze upward into the apartment above us. Not that I'd mind tear gassing them, but that's a whole different issue. Joshua, that'll give you other issues if you eat 5 pounds of jerky in 3 days. Now, that is one of the perks of living in the city, is that I have lots and lots of restaurants to explore and adventure through. And we do have some African places around I'm intending to try. It's one of the cuisines that I haven't had a lot of opportunity to find. Scallions hitting the fry oil, that wouldn't normally be that potent. Yeah, your cast iron digestion system in mid-20s. I was commenting earlier today that I am feeling every bit of the 45 right now, because at the turn of the year, speaking of exploring restaurants, I had decided I needed to go back to trying to regain some of the lost ground. I moved to Texas. I gained back all the weight I had lost in Ohio, which was admittedly partly due to stress and other issues there, but it was also I was being more, much more proactive about my diet. So what I'm trying to do right now, because it's unfair to my family for me to do low carb, because if I do low carb, they do low carb. So they're not happy with that. But, oh no, poor Mike. Tell him that smoke alarms are not timers. So if I diet, the family diets, and they don't like that. So what I'm trying to do is up the exercise level. I have a gym membership. The boy and I got a gym membership when we got down here. Well, not too long after. But between him working where he was walking 2 miles to and from work, and me just being crazy busy, we haven't been using the gym membership, which is a waste of money. And he's gone from, he was working at a craft store doing early morning stocking, and he was having issues with getting up at 4 a.m. so he could walk to work. So he decided that since that was a seasonal stocking job through Christmas, he decided that he would try a different job. So now he is working at a theater, either doing ushering or minding the food stand. I have a feeling that'll depend on what they need every given day that he's there. And again, it's 2 miles away. Now, we can take him and drop him off if he's starting most days at 5 p.m. But if he wants to come home at, oh no. No, it's not bad out there right now. A little windy. That'll help with clearing out the smoke. But if the little man wants to come home, he's going to have to walk home, because I am not staying up past 10 p.m. for him to call me and be like, hey, they finally let me get out of here. And, I mean, it's a movie theater. I don't know how late it's going to run. So he's going to have to walk home, and yes, it'll be in the dark. Fortunately, it's 2 miles, but it's on decent roads, sidewalks all the way. There's street lights. He'll be all right. I'm not thrilled with it, but he's almost 17 and he needs to learn these things. So, I am currently working on upping my exercise quotients. Hello, Ben. So I've been walking at lunch at work, and my idea was that I was going to go to one meal a day. I was going to come home in the evenings and have a nice meal with my family, and I was going to have a couple of snacks during the day when I'm at work to try and keep from starving to death, but I wasn't going to eat lunch. And I have not been eating breakfast for quite some time. I'm not really a breakfast person, so I've been doing the intermittent fasting. Well, 2 weeks into that experiment, and coming home from work routinely being just cranky and in an absolutely foul mood, I finally figured out that I'm going to have to eat lunch. And I was talking to my friend Dorothy about it, and I tried to have a protein bar today while I was taking my walk, and the protein bar upset my stomach, I think just because it was a nasty protein bar. I need better protein bars. Do they make good protein bars? I don't know. Ben, I really hope that you're enjoying No Way Home. It's Can't Go Home Again is very much a passion project, but it wasn't written for entertaining. So the current plan is to either come up with better protein bars that don't upset my stomach, or Dorothy suggested that I do Cornish meat pasties, which sounds like a fun weekend project. Kind bars, I haven't had a kind, yeah, that would work. I forget what brand name this one was. I think it might have been store brand, but it was mostly soy, and it was just, no. The other ones I think I've tried are Lara bars, which are mostly dates, and they're very, very sweet. Yeah, hard-boiled eggs is definitely a thing. Jerky is a thing. I think I know. I get the turkey sticks, too. Only if I can find biltong, Ben. That's not an all-the-time thing, or at least not at our local Aldi, it isn't. The other thing I was thinking about was splurging on the Epic bars, which are like protein bars but made with meat. They're a bit like pemmican, really. Yeah, Cliff bars are all carbs, they're all sweet. And see, that's the other thing about me and protein bars, is that I don't really want sweet stuff all the time. I mean, I have a sweet tooth, I like sweet things, but for some reason protein bars are just too sweet for me. So I kind of want something salty. Lara bars are vegan. I think I just picked them up based on they sounded interesting, the whole date thing. But yeah, I think I'm gonna splurge, order in a thing of Epic bars from Amazon, and start going back towards Okay. Built Bar, I think I've heard of, but I haven't tried any. Um, so I'll look at that. I am okay on sugar-free things, um, and I don't seem to have any issue with sugar alcohols, although I'm usually very cautious about how much I consume of them. But I'll look into the Built Bars. I think I'll order in some Epic, and I think I'm going to go back towards low carb. It's a lot more. I don't feel as hungry when I'm doing low carb, so between that, walking a mile every day when I'm at work on my lunch, um, I've found a route that I can walk at work that's safe, and it has the potential to I could expand it even past a mile, or I could do 2 laps during lunch. If I can pick up my pace a little bit, and I could get in 2 laps during my lunchtime. So yeah, I should probably check out local sources for jerky as well. We have got a couple of meat markets. I don't currently have a dehydrator, so I can't make my own. I do have an air fryer, but it's in storage. It's large, and you could do jerky in an air fryer, at least in theory. We have the equipment to do it. We were going to do that. Yeah, Stephen, I remember that. Um, Jerky in the oven sounds like a plan. I could try that too. But the thing is, if I make jerky, I'm going to have to make enough for me and the teenage boy, and I might not be able to afford that. Oh. So yeah, jerky does often have sugar, which is one of the benefits of making it yourself. And biltong does not have sugar, which is why that's good. Um, Yeah, I bought a Cliff Bar, a mocha flavored, and it actually has coffee beans in it, like ground coffee beans, and it's like chewing. It's not good. No, I cannot afford a teenager's appetite for jerky. Um, Especially not if he's walking 2 to 4 miles every day. The kid has been going through darn near a gallon of milk a day. So right now we are in growth mode, but it's all good. He'll grow up. He's so his work uniform is basically he has to wear everything has to be black, black shoes, black belt, black socks, black pants, black shirt. So he goes out and buys himself, because he has money that he was making at the other thing, and he did this with Sanford because he knew if he went shopping with me, I would insist on paying for it. But he bought himself slacks and black button-down shirts. So today, as he's getting all tidied up, and oh yeah, he's also growing his hair out currently, so he's got all my kids have a lot of hair, so he's got like poof. And he was trying to slick back his hair with styling cream, and with mixed success. His hair's springy. So yeah, I know he's working in a theater. So I think the idea is to make them blend into the background. I mean, especially if he's going to be an usher, then all black is, yeah, theater ninja is about right. Yep, multitasking sounds good. And for me, if I'm watching something like this, doing something with my hand is good. So he's all dressed up, and he comes to me, and he's trying to do his short sleeve cuffs. He keeps this job and keeps dressing like this. I may give the kids some cufflinks. But I'm sitting there and I'm doing his cuffs, and I look up at him, and I'm like, "Do you know who Johnny Cash is?" And a couple of minutes later, I hear this yelp out in the hallway, because it turns out that as Sanford was walking by him once he was all dressed up, Sanford said, "Do you know who Johnny Cash is?" Oh, Man in Black. Well, okay, my kid has always been, he likes to dress up. This is the kid that when he was 3 or 4, he got a gift card to a department store. And the giver of the gift card, I'm sure, thought that he was going to go and buy toys because they had, this is more of a clothing store, but they have toys there as well. And the giver of the gift card, by buying gift cards for all my kids, the way this store works, she would have gotten a nice bunch of rewards for herself to spend, but that's neither here nor there. So I take my son in, and he's little. I mean, he was like still preschool age, and basically tell him to go pick something out. And right next to the toy area is the little kids' clothing area. And there is, on deep discount, because this is after Christmas, there's a display of boys' 3-piece suits hanging there. And by 3-piece suits for a little boy, I'm talking about little slacks, a little button-down shirt. It had a tie and this spiffy little vest. It wasn't a full-on suit jacket thing. So, so he gloms onto this little outfit, and that was what he spent his Christmas money on. He did not want anything else. That was what he wanted, and he's always been like that. He has several ties that he's bought for himself when we were out thrifting, and he has bought himself slacks in the past. He actually has also a predilection for Hawaiian shirts. Not that he would admit that he's been influenced by his stepfather, but he has Hawaiian shirts. So Johann, as a name, has given him some trouble, and through a good chunk of later elementary school into middle school, so I think probably from about 4th through 6th grade approximately, he asked for and the school called him John. We have had more than once people ask if it was Joanna, because they just can't wrap their head around that double N at the end of his name. But the double N is how his great-great-grandfather, Johann, spelled his name. And my son's great-great-grandfather left Austria, Jewish family, left Austria just before World War II broke out. So naming was based on what I knew of this ancestor's name, and that was how he spelled it, or at least in the documents that I saw. So I've seen Johann with only one N before, and I know that's a fairly common name, especially in Europe. The Johann with 2 N's is a family thing, and I don't know if it's I've never looked to see if it's a particular spelling to Austria or what that is, but my son, we've talked about it. He has contemplated, because he wants to change his last name, and he was also contemplating changing his first name. Now his sister is going to change her first name to her nickname. The full-length part of her name she doesn't want to do, so she's actually going to change her name to her nickname. Or at least that was the plan. At this point, I'm not sure. She's old enough now that she could do it on her own. Johann's still young enough. I have got to look into doing it here in Texas and what that's going to entail. There has been some discussion. The guys have actually come up with this on their own, of Sanford adopting Johann, and so that's something that we may or may not do, but it's Johan's like, he said that since there's only about 18 months until he's 18 and then he could change his name anyway, he might just do it that way. He likes the idea of being adopted by Sanford, but Koala, your name is so lovely. I've had people ask me if I liked my name, and the answer to that has always been yes. I really have liked my name. My sister went by a short name, a nickname, for most of her life, and when she was 18 decided that she wanted to go by the long version of the name. But mine has always been short enough that I never really felt the need for a nickname. And as a matter of fact, about the only time in my life I've consistently had a nickname, it was longer than my actual name. When I went to college the first time when I was 18, the Navy guys, and there was an enclave of Navy guys at this particular little Bible college, they all decided that they were going to call me Mahogany. So for almost a year, I was, to a group of people, I was Mahogany. And why that? I don't know. The family nicknames I object to because, well, nobody wants to be called Stump when they're short. Oh, that is a fun name, Becky. Picking your name, Koala. Why Mahogany? I don't know. Probably my hair color? I'm not sure. Stephen, that is not always predictable. Sometimes, well, okay, so my oldest daughter was almost named for her grandmother until her grandmother pointed out that if you have an accent and you say her first name, it comes out as a rather rude saying. So Gladys comes out as Gladass if you pronounce it with an accent, or if you're a mean child. So my oldest daughter was not named Gladys. Although I'm not sure I would have saddled her with Gladys anyway. Beach? That's an interesting, I can see why, Becky. Although your last name wouldn't have been Jones back then. Depends on what part of school, I suppose. Yeah, no, nicknames are one of those oddball things. Ah, yes, that explains much. And Happy Bottom also explains much, because it took me ages to figure out why Gladys was such a problem for her. Yeah, I know. So, I actually work with a Cambodian gentleman, and his name is not unpronounceable. It's easy enough to pronounce, but it's tricky. Most people don't realize how to properly pronounce it. It's spelled S-O-T-H-Y, and he'll answer to Sophie, but it's actually Soti. So, oh, Becky Jones is your maiden name. Then I have no idea what Mike's last name is. Your nickname was Scout from To Kill a Mockingbird. So did he know you before he called you Scout, or was that kind of random? Well, when I was naming my children, and I tend not to use their names in public so much, so I'm not going to go through them all here, because I gave them all blog names fairly young, because I was trying to give them a little veil of privacy. Just because I choose to live in public doesn't mean they have to if they don't want to. It's like right now my son has expressed a preference to not have his picture out in public. So there's no pictures on my website of him from any time recently. Enjoy, Becky. So my kids are named a combination of something unusual and some family names, because my sisters and I all have very unusual names, and I constantly get double takes. And as a matter of fact, at this point, when I say my first name to somebody that's I don't know, it's almost reflex to go cedar, like the tree. And it's not that I didn't want my kids to have unusual names, because I did, but I didn't want them to be so unusual that it was going to be a problem. I ran into one of these company I was emailing with. My contact there was Madison, but Madison was spelled Madddyson. There are times that, yeah, no, that's another one of it. Just like, I didn't want to name my kids something that they were going to absolutely hate. Now, the hilarious side benefit of my middle daughter's name is that she will now, if you call her by her first and middle names, she will go unprompted into a rant about Romeo and Juliet and how it is a toxic teenage relationship that winds up with so many people dead in however many days. So, yeah. So spousal unit sounds familiar. My blog names rubbed off onto Sanford, and so Sanford gave the kids his own little shorthand names for referring to them in public, because he was also blogging and doing essays for a while. So he calls them Daughter Unit 1, Daughter Unit 2, Daughter Unit 3, and Son Unit 1, or just Son Unit for short. So DU 1, 2, or 3. And I have been known to refer to my children as Daughter Thing, which of course is from Mother Thing in Heinlein's. Oh my gosh, my brain, I'm losing my mind. Have spacesuit will travel. And so I don't know that my kids even realize why I call them Daughter Thing or Son Thing, but that's more of a personal pet name than a nickname necessarily. It's kind of like the cat, or the dog for that matter. They tend to get called Miss Fluffy Pants, or such like, which is not their name, but they seem to recognize it. Although the cat, this cat, my son could have gotten a cuddly cat, a sweet cat, yeah, I remember Short Stuff and Half Pint, and also Pumpkin. Oh, look, a troll. How nice. Anyhow, so the cat bites, and I was trying to fold laundry before the live stream started until the cat plopped herself down in the middle of the laundry and was using it as an excuse to attack me. So I stopped folding laundry. I'll have to deal with it after. I know. I'm almost flattered at the irate trolling level. Unfortunately, because I'm using a streaming software, I can't just automatically delete it. Oh, that's not nice, Stephen. Lard Bucket's not a good name for a little girl. No, I can see she wouldn't be a match. Well, she's not a pumpkin, but she is a cute moose. I mean... It's kind of amazing what we call our kids and how long it stays on, because that's one of the things I was thinking about today with getting the kid ready for his job today. Is I'm looking up at him, and he had this stuff in his hair, so he had it slicked back, and he's wearing the button-down shirts. He's got the collar. He looks really nice, and I'm thinking, because I kept looking at him, and he's like, "Does my hair look okay? Do I look all right? Is this too much?" And I'm like, "You're fine. You just look different. You look older." And I don't usually think of him as being that much taller than I am, but he's 6 or 7 inches taller than I am at this point. And liable to grow another couple inches before he's done. He won't be as tall as his father, but I think he will be taller than Sanford. He's already about the same height as Sanford is. And it wasn't that he looked weird or bad or anything like that. And he was reading my reactions as something's wrong, but it's more just the, good Lord, he has grown up. And I'm both ready for that and not ready for it at the same time. I don't remember what my third topic was, because I know I was going to talk about restaurants, which I did, and children, which I have done, and yeah, I know boys can grow until their early 20s. I don't know that he is going to do a whole lot more growing up. He's got short legs, which runs in the family, and yeah, no, he definitely did not recognize the bemused mom look. Haha, rambling road trips, so we don't cover that. But he's got short legs, he's got big feet, but then again, I have big feet, so it's not a big surprise there. I mean, I'm 5'2", and I wear a size 11 women's. So as my dad says, I have frog flippers, and as I say, I have hobbit feet. Complete with slightly fuzzy toes, but that's a whole nother. So the plan here is for this weekend. Tomorrow, I'm a little wishy-washy about what we're doing tomorrow. Friend invited me to meet up with her and hang out, maybe play a game. But I think I probably have too much to do as far as work in order to be able to squeeze that in too. And depending on what Johan's work schedule is, we may or may not do a field trip. There is a samurai museum in Dallas, and they are having a special exhibit on iron and the samurai. So that sounds like it would be really interesting. So we might do that tomorrow. We'll see how things go and how much I can get done. I've done my writing for the day. I have not done my art for the day. I'll do that after I get off the live stream. And Ben, thank you very much for pinging me in on doing the drawing. That was a lot of fun to do, and it has gotten a huge response. So, including a friend of mine calling me yesterday evening and going, "Hey, what do you think about, can we get this as a vinyl sticker so I can put it on the back of my car?" And that is one of the things that I am going to be working on this weekend, is taking Laugh, Load, Launch and putting it on a t-shirt. And I may or may not do a version that's kind of like, you can have it printed like a poster. I was debating if I wanted to do that, if I wanted to give it the background like the shabby chic sign thing that you see those words on in modern faux farmhouse decor. So Koala, I would absolutely adore to do the Rattlesnake Museum, but that's a whole long trip that I'm probably not going to be able to fit into this weekend, but that would definitely be a thing I want to go do. I'm actually kind of jealous because Jim and Ian are off with friends, and they've gone to some museums over in western part of Texas, including the American Quarter Horse Association Museum. And I was just like, gosh darn it, I would have loved to have done that, but another time maybe. An albino rattlesnake, that would be so fun to take pictures of. But anyhow, so we got the Samurai Museum, but then Sanford and I have been talking about doing one of our Sunday drives. So we were in Ohio, we would get in the car and we'd pick a direction. north, south, east, west. And then we would just go and we would drive and we would just make random turns, turn the GPS off, and just ramble down the road until we got hungry, and then we'd find a restaurant, and then we'd decide if we were going to turn around or keep going. We even did that a couple of times. We took the whole weekend and we'd get a hotel wherever we wound up, and it was a lot of fun. And you can't really get lost because you can always turn on the GPS and that'll get you back where you want to be. So the plan is for Sunday is that Sanford wants to go west. So we've been north of the Metroplex quite a few times, although usually that's not an exploratory drive. That is we get in the car and we go. So we've been south and we've done an exploratory bit of a drive that way. And I have plans to do more because I really, really want to get down into the hill country, visit with friends, and the little bit of it we got to drive through when we were going down for Christmas was gorgeous. So going east of here, if you go too far east, you wind up in Louisiana. And Louisiana is on Sanford's list of we shall not visit there. I do not want to go there again. Because he spent time at Fort Polk in Louisiana when he was a younger man. So, west. We're going west. We're going to go through Fort Worth and west. And I don't know how long we're going to go. We'll probably set out fairly early on Sunday. Fairly early for values of fairly early, because when we're on a targeted road trip and we have to go somewhere and get there, we'll leave here at like 4 or 5 in the morning. But Sunday is the only day that I get to sleep in, because Saturday mornings I get up early to make sure that I can have Mad Genius written. Koala, that is probably a road trip for a different weekend when I have more than just 2 days. But yes, one of these days, I want, oh gosh, there's so many things I want to see and do. And yeah, I'm going to have to make some plans. But, so we're going to go mosey west and see what's out there. And that's our weekend planned. I'll have to look up where Mineral Wells is. Oh wait, I think I drove through Mineral Wells. No, not Mineral Wells. It was something Falls. When we were on 281 coming down towards San Antonio. Cliff dwellings. Yes, this is all sounds fascinating. Ironically, the research I had to do for the story that I'm working on writing right now involved Google Street View and Bulgaria, which so Ian's running this anthology on Malta stories, and I realized that Malta, you can land Google Street View on Malta and like everything is mapped, like little tiny tracks and trails and paths are mapped. So I could easily fall down that rabbit hole of research and get lost and stay down there for far longer than a short story justifies. Which is what I was trying to avoid with Street View and Bulgaria, because all I wanted was a sufficiently remote locale to put, because the plot point is that the main character, who is based on a very dear friend of mine who passed away last year, both the main characters in this story, Karen and Kevin, very good friends that we lost last year. And so the main character is very interested in trains because that's what Kevin did. He was a train engineer. And so what I wanted to do was plot that there's a place where they can't really fly in and out of it easily because there's not a local airport. So they're going to travel by train. And being in Europe, that's a more natural thing than it would be here in the U.S. So it's kind of fun to be able to use Google Street View, and Johan walked up behind me while I was meandering around this little town that I picked kind of at random. And he was like, "Are you looking at Mexico?" Because the houses look like they're not adobe, but they kind of have that same look. I think they're plastered over a stone, but then they have red tile roofs. It's very pretty. Yes, Doug, it's not going to be Orient Express, but it's kind of that. It's right by the Danube and Bulgaria, between Greece and Turkey, and in that kind of area. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm also postulating that Roger Bacon, who was a English alchemist from the 13th century, there's some missing years in his life. So I am taking full fictitious advantage of those years to postulate that he spent some time on Malta, and that he met a Arabian alchemist, because they were even more advanced in alchemy than the English would have been at that point, and that the two of them compared notes. Given that one of the things that Roger Bacon is known for are his optics, his glass and lens work, and drawings of that, and that was something that the alchemy from coming out of Persia was famous for. It isn't actually that much of a stretch to go, well, okay, he got this from somewhere, and it's possible that he met one of these alchemists from the Middle East. And Malta makes a logical place for it, because right at the time it actually works, because they were partly under German rule, but also partly under Norman rule. And Roger Bacon was in France, especially in Paris, we know, and then he also spent time in Oxford in England. But there's those missing years, and Malta actually works for that as a postulate. The story I'm working on right now is not actually the story for Malta. It's using some of the same research, but the story for Malta hasn't gelled in my head yet. I'm still working on it. RK and I have been working on, we're going to do stories that are tied together. So that's kind of the plan for it. We'll see. But the story I'm working on right now is mainly because I needed to write something. And after having not been writing for quite a while, it started with the prompts, and then it kind of took me in some different directions. I'm not doing all prompted writing the way I did for Case of the Perambulating Hat Rack, but I will definitely check him out. Thank you, Doug. But Case of the Perambulating Hat Rack was literally drunkard's walk, bouncing from prompt to prompt and some completely random directions, which is part of what makes it fun, but that's not what I'm doing for this story. The working title for the story I'm working on right now is It's Never Espionage. And I don't know what the finished title is going to be, but it won't be that, because that doesn't really have much bearing on the whole story, just on the first bit that opened it out. Parts of it are available on the blog, parts of it are not. I'm not going to put all of it up there because I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. If I were going to be just publishing it, I wouldn't really care, but if I wind up sending it into an anthology, again, it's not going to Malta, but it could end up going somewhere else. And I don't even know if I'm going to make any kind of fantasy or science fiction. I mean, technically it's a little science fiction because it's going to deal with an alchemist, but I think it's going to be more mystery, alt history maybe even, although I'm not really, I don't know. It's fuzzy. I'm just writing right now because I need to write. I got lost halfway through. Halfway through where? I frequently get lost. But on that note, it's been an hour, and it has been lovely chatting with y'all. But I think that I had probably better wrap this up and go check on my husband and, oh Lord, not Dan Brown. Oh no, I couldn't do that. No. No. Ah. On that note, I am going to have a wonderful weekend. I hope that you do as well, and I will speak to you all next week. Same time, same place. Thank you all. Bye.